And moving on now to silage making itself, again, an early first cut is widely accepted as key to making high quality silage. But what should farmers be looking at when deciding when to take the first cut? And I'll start with John, and then if Peter wants to add as well.
Very often people get sort of into a little bit of a tunnel that diesel's expensive, contractors expensive, and we've got to try and cut back on costs. Ultimately, what we need to be doing is making the nicest silage we can. Over the last number of years, grass now grows 12 months of the year, virtually, in most parts of the UK. If we're not taking silage off early, what we find is quite often somebody will take a cut in the middle of May and it's not as good as they'd expected it or whatever, because quite often there's a bit of old dead stuff in there that's been there all winter. So I think, you know, what we need to be doing, as soon as there's a reasonable cut there in the spring and the weather's with us, you know, I think when you want to cut early, for me, you take silage off as early as you can, but it's when the weather's there. So you're making a nice silage early on. It might not be the best silage that you make on the farm that year. Maybe the second cut can sometimes be better, because some of the very early first cuts can be grass that's been there all year. But you take that grass off, start afresh, and what you'll find from that, generally, people who take an early cut off, they're taking a second cut off, probably by the end of May, they'll have more of a higher quality silage in the bank. And then if it does go wet or dry or whatever, we've already got that grass, you know, the bulk, a large proportion of what we're going to make for the season, and the best quality is already in the clamp. And I think as well, where people are taking a cut too late, very often in May, it's white in the bottom. That's a peak growing season, middle of May, end of May. You know, the grass is going to grow at its fastest rate there, and we've cut a heavy cut of grass off. It's dead in the bottom. We've cut it too low, and it'll take a fortnight maybe before it starts greening up. So we lose all that growing, that growing time. So, you know, taking it early to clean the silage off and get the quality in the bulk. Quality doesn't mean less bulk.
I suppose the counter to that is that the weather, you know, last year we experienced such kind of extremes of weather, didn't we? And it's quite hard sometimes to take that early cut because you might think you've got a weather window coming up. So any advice to encourage?
I think we normally get a weather window somewhere in April, May, depending on the part of country, but sort of, you know, I'm based sort of West Wales, and it's, you know, we're fairly early. And we will get a weather window between the middle of April and the first week in May. And so I think we take silage off as early as we can. I'm not saying it has to be in the first or second week in April, but as soon as if you're going to take an early cut, you're not going to take that early cut until the weather's there. So when the weather's there, and we've got the opportunity to make some nice silage, cut it, take it, put it in the bank, get your slurry and your fertiliser back out, and get the fresh growth coming back. Because if we're cutting silage and it's still green in the bottom, that stuff, you will see it growing back within a couple of days. You take a heavy cut off, it's going to be a couple of weeks.